thank you all for being here. So I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. First, I'd like for one more gentleman. Edmond, put you right here, sir. First item, we're going to go ahead and we'll go through the approval of the minutes from August 29th, 2018. So I think everybody saw the minutes that were into. Does anybody have any questions, any additions to those at all?
Move for approval.
Okay, I'll second.
Ayes?
Aye.
Any objections? All right. On our next item, we'll, introduction of guests. Gentlemen?
Jim Hager, retired master sergeant with the Air
Come here, sir.
Rex Ice here, representing the American Legion, retired U.S. Army Ranger Infantry.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Buford Ford, past member of the 45th Division, member of the American Legion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Kind of on the agenda for tonight, we're going to continue our discussion of potential locations for the future comprehensive Veterans Memorial. Also enclosed is a letter that was sent over to us from Richard Kravinsky for you all to read. And then I know Casey has done some stuff that he's going to be able to project on the boards. Also.
Yeah, anything that you guys need, I'm going to try to talk less, let you guys do the discussing. I've got the map available. I know a couple of people sent things over to me. I have those available as well to pull up on the board. And my goal tonight is to talk less, only answer the questions that you need answered. Or if you're going down a road that I need to interject in, I'll make sure that you don't spend a lot of time on something maybe that you shouldn't. But you guys show.
Okay. I know Anita, you sent over something. Did anybody else send over anything?
Jason did as well.
Okay. We'll go ahead and bring up Jason's.
Okay.
Jason, do you want to come talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I had was a question. I guess it's more for Casey. So when you pull it up, you'll see it's a map of Hafer.
Once I find it, it said I put it in here.
Down a little, I saw Hafer.
Yeah, I don't think that was it though, because that says February 20th. Let's do recent.
I think it was on Monday, wasn't it?
There's Anita's. Okay. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Veterans Memorial. I have it in my email, so I'll go back there.
Was there a...
I'll get this up because I think you want to have the visual for your question.
Yeah, I mean, because if the answer is no, then there's no
you don't want to
point
spend a lot of time
talking
on
about it. So.
I got you. Yeah. I'm not here to be Mr. No.
Well, I wanted to ask you over email, but I know that's not the right venue to do that. It's, talk here in the group. So,
okay.
My question is, I know we talked about Hafer Park last time. There's a couple of areas that we've been talking about that's already existing memorial. But is the entire area of Hafer, is it possible to consider areas within the park itself as the site?
I would say I think it's possible. The main issue that you might run into based on what you presented is tree removal.
Okay, and
people love trees.
So fully understand.
Just go to one city council meeting and you will know.
So that's not a no. That's just to say that would probably be the biggest sticking point you would run into.
And I think if we, of course this is getting into the design part of it a little bit, but if we propose a solution that works with trees, I mean, we're going to have to, there's going to be some demo work no matter what we do. But if the solution that we come up with, we kind of work with nature a little bit, then maybe that helps soften that a little bit.
So why don't you talk a little bit about what you're wanting to discuss?
Do you want to come up here and time?
I can sit here, but really what I was looking at, and this is just a quick, snapshot of some of the possibilities. There's several areas there. You can see there's a lot of room to work with, and I still don't even know how big the site's going to be. I mean, we don't know what the scope is. Is it an acre, half an acre, quarter an acre? But we'd have to really kind of look at the topography and see what's out there. But one of the things that I wanted to point out last time that I still think is probably one of the biggest criteria is that we need to find a site that is that controls the noise.
That what?
Controls the noise. And I think that we can use the trees as part of that. Yeah, as a buffer, as a natural buffer. So, of all the sites we talked about, I think Hafer is the perfect location. It's just a matter of trying to find a place for it. Maybe we can find a clearing where we're not moving as much trees, but it's just something to consider. I mean, you can kind of see there's some synergy between the trails. There's already some parking.
Matt, can you orient us? I'm not sure what's the north-south streets?
Well, there's Pelican Bays right here.
Okay.
Okay, so you got Bryant right here. We got 9th Street. So come back here. Here's the ball fields.
You've got the duck
Through
pond
here,
there right
yeah.
below that lower arrow.
Ponds right here.
They're maroon.
Okay.
So basically, the new, if I'm kind of the playground
city
area is there,
playground right
correct?
there, yeah.
and stuff. So you can come up there.
So, even though where we're looking here in the satellite, it looks kind of close, that's probably several hundred feet from there. So,
Right.
I'm just trying to think of ways to control the noise. If you visited a memorial in the past, one of the most successful things that a memorial will do is control the noise. So that's something we got to put at the top of the list, I think.
Could you clarify what you mean by noise?
Traffic noise, trains.
That's one of the most secluded parts of the park, for starters. Is that why you picked it?
Well,
I'm just worried about anyone seeing it.
well,
Unless you're a jogger.
and I think that comes into the design. The way, and as we get into the design, we can think about ways to make it visible. Maybe we have some signage, or we have a trail that is kind of a journey to this site. The other thing we got to be careful of is getting the site too far away from the parking, because I think there's going to be, a lot of these people are either handicapped or, have on a wheelchair or something like that. So there's more secluded areas we can look at, but since there's already parking there and there's already a drive there, I think, we could propose adding a new drive so we're not adding traffic to, what's already coming into the site.
Sure, you can.
Well, I wonder if we don't need to spend a little bit of time and see if we can develop some criteria that we're looking at. That what is most important? Visibility, accessibility, size, and I just feel kind of we're just fumbling around in the forest because we haven't settled among ourselves those common things that we would like to see in the memorial.
And I think that, Anita, your list was pretty cool. It's good on
Yeah,
hers.
It's a good segue.
That's
Yes,
kind of where
yes.
I
But
went.
now, is the yellow though, before we go,
Oh, yeah,
is the
sorry.
yellow is that a
Jason.
proposed drive?
Or do walk, or
That's a proposed drive.
And the blue is a proposed parking area?
I
This is a
think
drive to parking is what you have.
I think you would want, if you did it, you would want to separate the parking
Right.
for people coming to the memorial and not share that, because it may get crowded with other things.
Because there's already a stub street there, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, there
A
is, yeah, it
maintenance
comes up
path.
here and it kind of stops right around, you
It's a
just turn
maintenance,
around.
yeah.
Yeah, so that could be,
I mean, that could be your construction entrance, and then it could be repaved after.
okay.
Okay.
If I might say something, okay, so that's the place where Shakespeare in the Park was forever. It got burnt down purposefully twice. And I can tell you for a fact that there are 2 homeless people that live in that little part of the forest right there. When Shakespeare in the Park was there, it was always getting tagged with graffiti. It was, if you want to look at the past, that's stuff that things in that area have battled.
But it's still, Shakespeare's still there, if I'm not mistaken.
The stage, it is, but there's no upkeep on it.
Well, they've relocated. They don't do
They
Shakespeare
don't
in the
do
Park
it there,
anymore.
but there's like the remnants of it. And essentially you're right, it would be a great spot, but I
I think vandalism is something that we'll
I
have
can
to look
almost
at getting the
guarantee.
site.
Yeah.
Mitch Park's another one we can look at.
But I mean, this is completely out of sight, and it backs up to a trailer park in the northeast corner. That's Chimney Hill on the far east. I mean, I grew up in that neighborhood, and we were constantly, as kids, sneaking into the park and doing things we shouldn't have.
What kind of things?
The camera's rolling.
The statute of limitations has been out, yes, sir. But, and again, as I'm a big proponent of leaving the trees alone. I'm part of that group. But you will, I guarantee you, anything that this group tries to do there will face a huge battle. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're the ugliest, scraggliest trees. You
Go to
will
the tree
find
adoption program.
you will find
Get
somebody
back
that
in
will
neighborhoods.
chain themselves to them. It will.
Well, Jason, thank you for
You
putting
want
that
me
together.
to pull up that list now?
Yes.
Okay.
Please. Did anybody else send anything else in at all?
I just sent in, and he pulled up pictures of it, the Veterans Memorial at Bella Vista, Arkansas.
Mhm.
It's gorgeous. It's really elaborate, but they had a lot of donors going to it, and a big hunk of money from the Waltons.
Okay.
But he pulled some pictures up there.
Do you want
It is-
to get into that now, or maybe wait until?
Let's wait. Let's
Okay.
wait.
All right. Okay, Anita, you want to talk about what you sent over? Can everybody see that okay? If not, I can try to make it bigger.
I didn't print myself a copy. I sent to you, but I didn't bring one. So along kind of those same lines, I just was kind of process, okay, what are our priorities? And of all the sites we talked about last time, you know, they're not all the same. They don't all have parking. They don't all have, I can't even see, amenities. They don't have restaurants and bathrooms and things like that close. We can build those, but that's money. If there's parking already there, if there's restaurants, bathrooms, benches, things in the area for families to do. So, you know, these were just some of the things that to me, we had talked about, or I had seen in pictures when I went and looked online at some of the pictures of things that might be important. Some of the locations have these things, some of them don't. But I agree that I think we probably need to figure out as a group what the priorities are, and then we can start eliminating some of the locations based on that,
Okay.
maybe. Just my idea.
Oh, you're right.
No, I think that's what Tom was saying too, is that we need to start to prioritize those things. Really eliminate us down to, there might be something as through that process that we do that we're not seeing as some of these other sites, and some other ones might pop up for us.
Yeah, I really like the idea of the downtown piece. It's a little bit small, but I like it for several reasons. The location, I think as Edmond, we want to keep our downtown thriving. And so the more times we can bring people into downtown, the better. You've got
In which downtown would you be specific?
the piece behind Russell Doherty, between Russell Doherty and
Oh, the piece that we own?
yes,
I got you.
where the construction vehicles are parked right now, to
But
the east
but
of
to
Citizens Bank.
basically what you're saying is downtown is ideal for you, whether it would be that spot or not.
Yeah, that one, and I think there was a couple other maybe that were
Yeah.
possibilities. That
Okay.
one's farther from the railroad tracks, so sound and stuff I think was better. I reached out to someone from DEBA, and they said they'd been wanting a downtown park for a long time.
What's the
Downtown Edmond Business Association.
Okay.
So they would be totally on board for something else downtown that would draw people down there. You've got parking around, you've got restaurants. It is a little bit small, is my only concern, is it would be hard to make something very big and impressive on that small piece.
But in that same vein, you got the Pecan Grove, as Casey calls it, right here across from the library by the bank. Russell Doherty, the bank and the library, there's that piece of property there where the old Ramey Chapel used to be.
Oh, yeah.
At Main and Boulevard. which would be close to downtown, close enough for walking distance, close to 66 at least.
The location he's talking
Right
about.
there, yeah.
This area right here. Which really is that area because we've got parking.
So Casey, I have a question.
Yes.
So, the redoing of Stevenson Park is, there was a plan for. Why was the current memorial there not taken into account in that? Was the designers not even, was that not presented to them?
I
or
was
they
not
just-
part of that conversation, so I don't know why. I
That's-
think the main reason probably being they're trying to recapture more usable space
Okay.
with residential development coming around the park. I think there's a feeling that the park's going to get more use.
Mhm.
And so the thought was, we're not moving any of the buildings, and so you've already got the Armory building, you've got the Legion building, you've got the Rodkey House. So they were looking at ways that they could try to recapture more usable space.
Okay.
That's probably my guess. I wasn't part of that conversation.
Well, I was part of it
Oh.
because they had the meeting at the museum. And the other thought was, again, that's the oldest park in town. The trees are very important. We keep gobbling up the green space with more parking off of the streets because we need parking down there. So, and the feeling was it wasn't a good memorial. It was run down. It was not what we thought it ought to be.
Okay.
And to make it what we thought it ought to be, it would have gobbled up
What did-
the whole park
okay.
and trees and all kinds of things.
So with that, what you're saying though is, so that's kind of giving us a size right there, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're talking, you go ahead and.
Down to Stevenson?
Yeah, just go ahead. So,
Right.
so what, can you zoom it closer into
You
like
bet.
where the current,
Oh, the current memorial?
yeah, so kind of,
This is your
Okay,
current
so-
memorial right here, along with this walkway.
so when you're talking about,
A tennis court size maybe?
so if we look at that.
Distance.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's, so you're looking at, you know, roughly right there, so if you zoom back out to where we were talking about the little pecan grove, I mean, that's about the size that you're saying is probably,
There you go, right here.
Oh, yeah.
And here's your tennis court.
but
down
you
here.
don't want all this parking, we want that as the total site, right, and then parking around it. So you're talking about, can you have pull the measurement tool up?
Measurement tool.
Right, actually, just go over here and right click.
On this one?
Just, yeah, just right click.
Right?
Measure distance, just,
I got you. To where?
just start over here.
Oh, you
there.
weren't,
Yeah,
okay,
just-
I'm sorry.
Yeah, just right click.
Including the parking?
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Measurements.
Right.
Measure
corner?
distance to, right there.
Right there?
Get over the top of the street right there, yeah.
There?
Yeah.
Or do I just?
Just quit.
Sorry.
So you're looking at about,
176 feet?
yeah, 176 by 176, which is, come on, math guys, come on.
2,500 square feet there? 3,000.
It's about twice as wide as it is long there, it looks like.
So,
Or no, it's about the same. Sorry, that's adding the total distance.
How much? 30,000.
okay. So that's probably, and we're looking at something over here, and then if you discount the parking around it, so,
Yes.
yeah. So is that something that we want to start looking at, is looking at what size we want to do? It's not going to be just some little walk-up, we actually want a plaza that has more, it's larger. I'm thinking something more like this. Has anybody ever been down to the Cleveland County one? It's down by OU and stuff. I don't know if anybody's ever been down to that one and
I love
stuff.
a picture of that. I've
Yeah,
mentioned it a couple times. and
yeah,
I
'cause
don't
it's
know what it
a-
looks like.
Is it called Cleveland County?
Cleveland County,
Is that, yeah.
Cleveland County with the Veterans Memorial.
This one here? Are we looking at the correct thing?
Yes.
This picture's really tiny, sorry.
If you just want to go, just type in Norman, and we'll just go to the map one.
You want to see it on the map here?
Yeah, it's over there by the softball
Oh,
field.
hold on, I'm in Bing, no wonder.
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
There we go. Now we can find this.
Sorry, not my computer.
How come your email's on it?
Huh?
How come your email's on
I logged into it. Alright. You want an aerial?
Yes, please.
Is that far enough?
Yeah, so I mean, it gets, I mean, pretty big for, it's a lot, it seems a lot. I mean, when it's something a little bit more to where you park and you interact with it a little bit bigger and stuff, so I mean, and that's probably, so I mean, if we're looking at where the Pagon Grove is, I mean, if we could flip the parking to street parking, get rid of that internal parking lot there, I mean, that's probably about the size of something that would be really good that we could look at.
That may be a tough sell.
Yeah.
Get rid of some public parking downtown. I'm not saying.
Well, see, I drive by
Just
on the way to
say-
the post office, and it doesn't seem like it's really full of cars.
I know Russell Doherty uses it a lot when they have stuff at school.
The library staff tends to park over there because their parking lot gets full. I see them crossing in the mornings. And I know a lot of city staff parks there. It's not to say it can't change.
Right.
How far off is that parking garage?
Parking garage is not anywhere close.
Don, you were gonna say something, sir?
Well, I was just gonna say that parking is used by all the city employees in the Planning and Public Works Center. It's used by Russell Doherty School and the staff of the library. The library has a considerable parking lot just across the street,
Right.
but they want to reserve it for their patrons, not employees.
59 spots.
Wow.
So I'm wondering if we should move on to making that list instead of getting bogged down on one
Yeah.
location.
Well, just try to get us-
Priorities.
The size wise and stuff, but yeah, let's. Okay.
To me, an obvious thing to narrow down the list is to only look at city-owned properties. I think we're just giving too much of our budget away
Yeah.
if we buy something. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah.
If you can find somebody to give you property for free, I mean, we'll take it, but
I don't have those kind of connections.
that's not always the norm, but.
Yeah.
Eminent domain?
That would be a tough sell. Be a tough sell.
Is the reason we're doing this in the first place, I'm not quite clear what the genesis of all this is. Is it because we're moving that one memorial over in River Park that way? That leaves us without one?
Stevenson Park.
Stevenson? Or is the mayor wants this, is it the city council thing, is it some citizen that feels strong about this? Someone bought into it.
Well, the thing that's making it happen right now is the park. But because of that, city council put this together because they want to look at how do we do something better.
So that's why we're recommending to.
Yes.
them.
This is not being driven by any citizens per se.
So we kind of have two missions. Like it looks like is trying to find a location for the existing one. Obviously, don't want that one to go away and everything. But at the same time, can we make more of a Boulder Plaza, bigger, larger one that can be more where everybody knows where that one is, opposed to like some of us don't even know that there was one at Stevenson Park. You probably don't pass it.
One more
It
thing.
doesn't have to be a plaza, right?
I noticed that last weekend, the new on-cue gas station at 15th and I-35, on the knoll by that gas station, there's some kind of sculpture.
Arch.
It just jumps out at you.
Yeah.
And I said, that's really impressive, too bad it's for the gas station. But if you could have something like that, that'd be impressive.
Well, I think the mayor's charge was wanting you guys to come up with something pretty impressive and special for Edmond. So that probably, I would say, is a bigger charge than figuring out what to do with what's currently there.
Matthew,
Sir.
since Delisi is closing their Edmond plant, or already has, has there been any consideration for approaching Delisi to see if they would like to donate some land for a memorial?
That could be approached. I know who's going to be there. I know who the agent is going to be. Who's going to be the property.
Do they already have it listed for sale?
They're in the process of it, I do believe, from last time I remember. And then I don't know if it's sold yet or if they already have a buyer for it. But I mean, they can be approached.
Where's that?
Found out.
Where's it at?
On the other side of the train tracks, it's on
Main.
Main.
Yeah, from Missouri.
Yeah. And then I'm going to reach out to an individual that I know really well who has some of the property across there that's open right now, and discuss that with him as well. So I think through some of these, making ones that are, the accessibility with a lot of the other stuff, we're not having to add parking, we're not having to add amenities and restrooms and stuff like that. It kind of lends itself to more of a downtown one. Because I think with the Liberty Fest and everything, you're automatically going to get eyes on it, for a weekend. Then you have all the other events going on in downtown, which helps just attract people naturally to that.
Well, I also like the idea of downtown because you're not going to have as much issue as you're talking about, maybe with the folks defacing things.
Right.
Because it's got a lot more traffic.
Right.
Yeah. So if we look at this list of things, do we want to rank order them, or do we want to, because I'm saying accessibility and visibility have got to be right at the very top of the list.
And anything now that if we were to design anything, we'd use $1 federal for it. It's got to be ADA compliant.
Absolutely. Well, it should be anyway.
Yeah. Well, it will, and that's the thing though. But so if you're saying, okay, if we're going to build it new, then we're going to have to go through and and anything like that, we'd have to. Where you're talking about tearing out some trees, you'd end up having to do switchbacks everywhere, and you're tearing out half of them and stuff. So so I think if you already have a lot of those things already set up in place, then it kind of makes it a little bit more easier to tackle. So if we want to, I mean, if everybody thinks so, then why don't we go through here and start prioritizing this? And we can start doing that. Is that possible for you to kind of take this and
Look at here. Edit document.
There you
Watch
go.
out.
All right.
Done.
Do we want to,
It does, not to interrupt you, but does anybody want to add to this?
Yeah.
Right now, as we're here, is there anybody that thinks that there's something else that we didn't, that wasn't covered in here that they would like to add to it at all?
Well, I still think that, finding a way to control the noise should be on there. And, I understand the visibility and everything, but like I said, if you haven't been to the bombing memorial, go down there.
Right.
Just listen. That's what makes it successful. So I think that needs to be somewhere up there towards it. I mean, we can create another plaza.
And of
We've
course,
got
the
those all-
environment though for the bombing memorial is a little different than a.
Well, obviously the scope is grander.
Well, it's also the reason for that memorial is a little different than I think a
I mean,
veteran.
what I'm afraid of is that we create another plaza. We'll go to visit once and leave, and that's it. So it doesn't have to be in a field. It can be anywhere. But and this is getting into the design. I think we can control it there. But it's just something to think about. If we're looking to do something special, which is what they're wanting us to do, we got to think a little bit outside the box. And so site plays a big part of that. So I think that obviously having access, amenities, parking, stuff like that is a big deal. But do we let that drive the whole purpose of why we're trying to do this, you know.
Has anyone seen the FDR Memorial in DC?
Yes.
That strikes me as that's one that incorporates some of the things we're talking about.
Do you want to bring that up real quick?
Yeah. Whatever you guys would like. Let's go to Google this time. Trying to find wide view.
Jason, I'm sure everybody in downtown Edmond would love it if we could move the train tracks.
Well, I live a quarter mile away, so
Yeah.
it wouldn't hurt my feelings at all.
They were here first.
If you could just get them on the phone, that would be a great starting point.
Well,
And
supposedly the quiet zone is supposed to.
Referring to, you know, quiet and solemnity and things like that, I fully agree. But I do kind of have a question. I mean, is it going to be okay for families to come, have picnics there? You know, several of these guys that, you know, were KIAs have small children. You know, if they come, are people going to be getting
You know,
frustrated with them?
I would
if
think that would
they're
add to
playing?
the ambiance, having families there. You know, I just keep going back to the memorial. You know, what they did was they brought it down into the ground. They've got 2 walls to kind of kill the noise.
Right.
And they've got that white noise in the background with the reflecting pond. And there's families there talking, but you hear this kind of a hushed conversation going on. So I mean, it's getting into the design, and I think we can make it work probably anywhere. It's just thinking about those kinds of things. So,
But to her point, I don't see families going to the bombing memorial at a picnic. Like they
not,
would
maybe
at
not
a
have a
veteran
picnic,
memorial.
but I mean, there's certainly families that visit and people go back constantly, you know,
Well,
because
right.
it's that feel. You know, it's an important place.
Just, like I say, I think it's a different type of memorial than what we're looking at. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking
I
different.
think maybe what you're saying, it's
more solemn.
It's somber.
Yeah.
And solemn when you visit there, is what you're saying. Tom, was there a specific view you wanted of this?
No.
Okay.
See, I like the running water they've got.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gorgeous.
Well, and it's an area that, you know, you can sit and ponder or visit or.
Casey, can you remind us of the other city-owned pieces in downtown that we looked at last time?
Yeah. So most of what we own is kind of in this area. If you're where you're at, you are currently here. You are here.
Okay.
Is where you are. We have this facility, which we currently have administrative offices in. We have this parking lot that was just redone here. This is the old police station. That building's going to come down. Eventually, there are plans to hopefully dump everybody from all these buildings and this lease space over here into one building, which will free up some other things. As of right now, anything can change because it's still a ways out. As of right now, the downtown community center is targeted as parking structure. This building probably would stay. This building probably would stay. We do not, this is the bank. We own this property. We also own this property, and then we have parking as well.
You also own that parking lot there between the construction parking zone and the Citizens Bank?
That's here?
Yeah.
No, this is
That's the drive-through lane.
Citizens owns most of this block. Citizens owns, this is their drive-through, this is their old facility, they own
Okay,
this.
yeah.
And then they own this parking here. So we actually own kind of this piece of this block here. And then of course, we own this right here, Festival Marketplace.
Was there some on the west side though, of downtown?
We own some on the other side of 2nd Street. We own some over here. We own all of this piece here. This is where like UR Special and Mobile Meals is. This is an old police facility. This is where CityLink currently is housing their buses. And then we own, I believe, we don't own this. We own this parking lot and this parking lot here.
Was Stink Park far away from downtown as far as walkability?
Okay, so if you want to say downtown, here's Broadway. Think is down here. So,
Yeah.
it walkability, you wouldn't consider it. Most people wouldn't consider it walkable. Of course, most people don't consider a lot of things walkable.
Now, just north of Stevenson, there's a green half-block area,
You can get in here.
right there.
This one here.
That's not city-owned, I guess.
This is not city-owned.
I know there's a medical plaza on one side.
Right
and
here,
you've
this
got-
is Dr. Fielding's
Right.
office. The
and you got the
Grant,
church on the other side, Lighthouse Church.
yeah, the
or whatever.
Grant Group who's doing a lot of the redevelopment in this area, I believe they own this, they own this, they own this, they own the church as well.
Okay.
Those two parking lots.
And the parking lots, yes.
And I think, does Dr. Fielding have one
I
side?
think Dr. Fielding has a piece of this, and then somebody else owns another piece. I don't know who that is. And then we also have the territorial schoolhouse here. There's a little tiny space behind it, and then I don't know who owns this piece right here.
I think the Sherry's Pharmacy people.
Okay, and that's, so the pharmacy is in this building. This is a pretty big.
So let me ask a question. How long range is this, are we looking at?
I think it depends on what your recommendation is. I mean, I think if,
Let's get rid of the post office.
that, I don't know how long range that would be. That could be 5 years, 20 years, 50 years, never. Don't know. I think ultimately your recommendation, depending on what that looks like, will determine how feasible it is to do sooner than later. That's probably something you're going to want to consider as part of your criteria as well. I don't think you guys want to meet and then not see this happen in your lifetime.
And it won't happen by next 4th of July.
Yeah.
The spot at Covell and
The one in the corner.
it's kind of that end cap to the cemetery. You said you guys were gonna file onto that piece.
We have, this is a current Grace Lawn. We've purchased this big triangle here.
Because I know that right there was the piece that I.
Yeah, that's the piece that you recommended. We do not own that piece. I think it's an out-of-state owner owns this and this. So you have one owner that owns both sides of that intersection. We have purchased all of this. We will be starting cemetery expansion sooner than later. But there is potentially land in there at this north end.
Can you bring back up the criteria sheet, please?
You bet.
Anybody have any additions to this that they'd like to, so we can start to discuss how we want to dial it in for criteria?
We could possibly add two things I thought of, is that there's already some type of attraction in the area where people might be there anyways. And then also just not removing trees could be one of our criteria.
So I think,
Those are kind of.
Amenities you've got covered there.
yeah, I mean, I think you've got amenities, but that's,
I guess specifically what I was thinking about is we keep talking about downtown, and I understand the attraction, but we've also talked about that area by Pelican Bay, which I think we would have people coming to that area anyways, and then also by the new tennis center, you'd have people drawn to that area anyways. So I don't think we personally, I don't feel like we need to narrow it down to downtown, because I don't necessarily know that's where Edmondites are going.
How big is that piece on 15 where the trees were?
I'll come back to that in just a
Okay.
second.
Okay.
What do we want to call this? Like,
I put already near some type of attraction, but that's
so,
not very
but
good
activity,
either. Yeah.
proximity to other activity?
Yeah.
Something that already people already gather at, yeah.
Okay. Was there something else?
Trees.
Trees?
And
Minimal
in public parking.
Minimal
Parking-
tree
parking-
impact.
parking-
Trees will come down, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You're gonna cut into the ground, you're gonna cut their tree roots, they're gonna come down, we'll plant more, they'll grow back.
That's
3 to
happened, but
1.
we can
For every one you
avoid
cut,
some
you
of
gotta plant 3.
That's fine, you can put them, I know enough neighborhoods in Edmond where they strip them clean and they don't say a word about them, they can plant them there.
Okay. You wanted to see which piece?
The
This is the
15th
tennis-
My whole
Street
neighborhood.
that backs up to the
You guys
tennis
wanna
center.
run
The
it?
tennis center piece. Okay.
Right ahead.
Let's see where I'm at.
You can take some of it.
That's Edmond
It's up
Road.
high,
Here we go.
so.
Here we go.
Well,
That's what,
and to go along with that, if you go further out, the trees are not as old. If you're downtown Edmond, you're talking about 100-year-old trees, and you're gonna have more people up in arms about taking those out.
Okay.
but
This is the tennis center property, mainly here and this. As of right now, this piece, I believe it's a 5-acre tract, probably. This piece is not currently spoken for.
And where's the railroad?
Right
Okay,
here.
so quite a ways away.
Now, the horns are going to go away. You're still going to hear trains, but when quiet zones come,
I used to live on now I live on the west side of the tracks. You don't hear it as much. Even we used to live by 35 and you could hear it over there because of the way the wind was, you know. And over here, you don't even hear it.
I live on Kelly.
so that's that space. The other space,
I like
That is at Edmond. Every time I drive by it, it gets more and more appealing.
What?
It's already got parking.
what are we talking about?
The old Visit Edmond.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's where I'm going to come back to. We'll go back.
The
The
CBC.
old visitors and convention.
Yeah.
That building's coming down
Yeah.
soon. It's currently slated to become parking. So here's Pelican Bay. This is the space specifically.
And there's already a
There's a bridge.
There's a pedestrian bridge there.
pedestrian bridge right there.
This does not look the same anymore. This now is a big office building that's right here with parking behind it.
So y'all basically own between Pelican Bay and the those other buildings?
We
Is the
own,
CVA?
the CVB is no longer in this
Right.
facility. Well, we own Pelican Bay.
Right.
We just don't operate it.
Can you do the little measurement? Do that?
The little measurement doodad, what would you like measured?
Well, just to see approximately
From where to
what's-
where? Okay, yeah. It's very specific.
Hey, that sounds like me. I'm honest.
That is 207 feet. And it does slope down from the road.
Yeah.
If you're at the road,
Yeah.
that goes all the way down. It levels out at the
So
parking.
what's the site boundaries? Casey?
Basically here, let me clear this. Basically there to there, and this rectangle here.
Okay.
Is what we're talking
But would
about.
the parking lot be included in that or not?
As far as taking parking away,
No, I mean, would that be,
That's
I mean, we could reprogram it if we needed to, but I mean, what is this for that building or do they?
in the summertime, all of this gets used.
Okay.
In fact, in the summertime, they wouldn't even have meetings there because there was no parking.
Is it possible to put it on a owned property like OCU? I mean, UCO, it's a pretty campus over there by the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, there's a lot of pretty areas that are wide open.
Right.
And you could have the architect plant 50 trees around it, design it around planting trees instead of cutting them down. It just seems, to me, it's more of a pure, it's more of a draw than.
You'd have to.
Downtown's okay, but downtown's cluttered, is the way I look at That's just a thought.
You would need to find out from UCO what their master plan is. Jared's not here tonight. I know he would be able to speak to that better, but he is in another part of the world teaching. But I think UCO has a vested interest in this project for sure.
But does Edmond, per se, want to be totally in control of this?
I think the city's more than willing to partner with people. We've done that repeatedly with the public schools and with UCO and some things. So I don't think there's a problem with not having a willingness to partner with others.
But even Oklahoma Christian College.
That's not in our city limits.
So
that would be
those are foreigners.
Well, it jogs like right there. We go ahead and pull over here because St. Mary's is actually going away, so that's going to become a parking lot. So I mean, are we excluding?
The church is
Yeah, they sold to the school, and so they're actually moving up north off of Covell, and our firm is designing that. So this has become, I mean, there's going to be a parking lot area in here. You know, going back and you're talking about with the school, I mean, is there a way that we can?
That grassy bit's owned by the Methodist Church, so.
Now, this whole piece, this actually in this parking lot,
is the church.
This is all owned by the church, or it was the church. So the UCO owns all this.
Yeah.
The thing, and I don't want to speak for UCO.
Right, yeah,
They
right.
spent a whole lot of money on that property. I would assume they've probably got some long-term thoughts to do something. So that could be a consideration, potentially putting a memorial somewhere where there's other plans.
So do we want to make that list?
Matthew,
Sir, go ahead.
another area outside of the downtown that we haven't actually talked about is the Cross Timbers Complex, which is a rapidly growing area out of Covell and I-35.
Right.
The city, I think, has about, 150 acres there.
Get up there.
Isn't that the one we talked about? It was like a house.
No, that's
No,
in the
that's
66
That's
park.
Yeah, which I drove up there last weekend. You have the awesome vistas and everything.
You've got all the space you need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
It's just out there. What Dawn is talking about is
Oh, okay.
this area out here.
Animal shelter, fire station.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
But they also have the motorcycle training there on the weekends.
There are some expansion plans, but
Kids Village at the fire.
Can you go ahead and bring this? Put some on it.
do what?
Go ahead and bring this down.
Let me zoom in farther. I mean, it's
Or just.
It's basically, we don't, in fact, there's a couple of pieces of property. This piece here and some of this is not city owned. It's actually for sale. If you drive out there, there's a for sale sign. We have this, and all of this, and all of this back here. So we actually kind of surround a lot of that.
But then again, in terms of security at night, the only thing out there is the fire station.
Yes.
So there's nothing.
There's
There-
nobody really out there anyway.
There's not really,
Yeah,
and
there's
going
basically
back to
it.
what you guys were just talking about, there's not a lot of activity.
Not until, obviously, a lot of this gets finished.
I think you'd have to be going out there
Yeah, that'd
specifically
be-
to go out there.
Yeah.
I think the downtown, you mentioned earlier, makes a whole lot more sense.
Now, since you're west, can we go ahead and go to 66 Park?
Huh? You want to see 66 Park?
Yeah, just
And
so-
then I think you have several people asking to do the list, and you've got about 10
Yeah,
minutes
well,
left.
So we'll take a look at the 66 Park one more time.
Sorry.
And that's all right. And then let's,
Let me back up and find out where I'm at. Okay, here we go.
this guy's, which has a huge grade steep off that way and it drops down.
Yeah, this is a plateau that kind of overlooks the rest of the park. This is the area where there's currently a large house that will be demoed.
At least know there's water out there, there's power out there. no amenities other than pops and the softball field. Did you climb the fence?
No, I just drove past them.
Okay, I drove out there and I thought about climbing the fence and looking.
No, I had my kids with me. I didn't really stuff, so. Thinking my 4-year-old son hopping a fence is not the right.
Yeah.
I'm teaching right yet. So.
Wait till they're 6.
Yeah. All right, so we've kind of gone through some more of these, so let's go back to our list. And I think not only our takeaway from what we're talking about right now, but kind of say our homework assignment between now and our next meeting, I think we need to, we'll put, figure out a way to prioritize this list so we can narrow it down to, the top 5. So, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, in terms of trying to narrow that puppy down, we might, I wondered if we might think about rate each of those must-have,
Right.
like to have,
Right, exactly, yeah.
1, 2, and 3, or,
Yeah.
something like that.
I have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
Casey, could you email this list to all the task force members?
You bet, you bet. One thing I would say that you might consider, you don't have to, but is a good way to kind of narrow these things down is if this is the exact list that we send out, you go in and you rank them in the order of importance that you think, and then we assign an opposite number of points. So if there's 10 items, whatever you assign number 1 is 10 points, 9, 8, and then you accumulate all that, and then you kind of get a score that shows what the group would rate point-wise. That's one way to do it. It's not the only way to do it, but we've done that for some other things.
Casey, I have a real quick question. The Lady Liberty one, is that the one that's on Boulevard or Broadway right now?
Yes, Lady Liberty is on Boulevard and 2nd Street.
Okay,
And
so
you
now
said
that's
that
going to be moved, or is it going to be put back there? Or
That has to move too.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
And originally, it was my understanding that we didn't need to worry about that, but there's also some interest from the Boy Scouts potentially to have it with part of what you're doing. That doesn't have to be, but it has been brought up in an email that
I just wanted clarification.
So, yeah,
So
we have 2 pieces that are having to be removed.
I like including it because then you get a volunteer organization that might step up
That's
and
why
help
we need to get rid. That's
maintain
why we need to
the
get
park.
rid of the post office, because we can start to.
Yeah.
So, a couple things on this list are more concept-based. Do we want to include those when we're making our priority list, or do we want to focus on things that would just affect the location? So like having featured art is more concept-based.
It was school.
No, I agree with what you're saying, because like right now, if I were to look at this, the featured art, I wouldn't even think of that. So, I mean, that wouldn't
Yeah.
really affect me right now.
Yeah.
That's design concept,
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So do we want to delete?
Well,
cross out
no,
some of
just
the
send this
concept
out.
focus?
You can
Send it out, and then, like, we can put, if you want to go ahead and, like,
And just
Put out.
put design comments, like, more of a design
That
feature.
flag plaza,
Yeah, and like,
public
again,
art.
parentheses.
Including Lady Liberty.
So can you guys in the next 6 minutes determine which items you want to rank?
Okay.
I think that's
Well-
Accessibility for sure.
Why don't we email it to you?
Or at least just strike through the ones that are design-based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which one was that, Jason?
The comments that are design-based, just strike through.
Okay, yeah,
And then
so
that way
design
we'll-
base, we'll just strike through the design base.
Okay, I'm gonna put a star by them right now because I may be a little limited, but I'll be able to
Okay.
fix that for you.
Including public art would be design-based.
Well, start at the
The
top.
fourth
Let's
line.
can we
Yeah.
work from the top down and just
Okay.
say yes or no?
So, okay, here we go.
That would help me.
Accessibility, visibility, design base, yes or no?
Yes.
Keep it.
Oh, not the.
No, keep,
No, that
keep
was,
it.
We're saying,
Yeah.
yes.
that's
Yes,
important.
thumbs up on this, we'll
Yes.
keep this one, okay. Park in the area or part of the design? That's the design, I mean, so.
I say you gotta keep that though, because you do want people to have a place where they don't have. to
Oh,
pay
yeah,
for
yeah.
parking.
Again, no matter what we create, you're gonna have to have a parking in an ADA.
I will trim this down. You'll get a list that says accessibility and visibility, and you get one that says parking.
Yeah.
So we'll trim it down.
Yes.
Space for events there or in adjacent
No.
areas?
No, that's design.
Strike through that one. Okay. Meaningful design, walking trails, fountains, meeting areas, lights, art.
Design.
Design. Inclusive all branches, all forms. So I think,
That's design.
Yeah.
and we know that, I mean, if it's a veterans memorial, we're not going
It'll
to
have
say
that, right.
Sorry, Air Force, you didn't get this, you didn't get the cutters. We're gonna put the Coast Guard in instead, right? So,
Yeah.
amenities, restrooms, bathrooms, benches, and area shade.
That's a location
That's a
thing.
location.
I might put
That's-
room for amenities.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would you guys be okay?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that is something that you'll have to consider as far as size.
Way for families, individuals to connect with it, individual names or group names.
Design.
Okay. Include public pieces of art, peace, and Lady Liberty and others.
But you have to think of space also on that one. Whatever location we pick, is there going to be space for everything?
To add the old stuff in or to just have a new concept?
We just make space a separate category, large size, or, 100,
Well, that's-
200 people.
Well, I think as we go through this, I think that's probably one of the things we need to do in our next meeting and say, okay, this is our kind of our little bit of space parameters we need to start dialing it down.
So if I said space for existing art pieces,
Yeah.
then that way you guys can determine whether that's important to you or not,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you're ready.
I think so.
Okay.
Include a flag plaza. Design. Walk to downtown and downtown events, Liberty Fest Parade.
Location.
That's,
So, and then we got featured art, we already got one there. Be interactive in some way for families and children. Let's design. Control sound.
That's a location.
that could be either.
Yeah, well, we can, yeah.
We'll keep it in there.
Put it.
You guys,
Yeah.
you guys can rate it and see where
Yeah.
it falls.
Yeah.
Proximity to other activities. And then minimal tree impact.
That's kind of
Yeah, maybe both.
Okay. So I'll clean this up a little bit, and that way you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what will happen, I'll get that cleaned up, I'll send it out to you, and you'll just rank them, 1 through however many that is, send it back to me. I'll compile all those, and then I'll send that back out to you before the next meeting so that you can be thinking.
And if anybody else has anything to add on there, as long as it's not like 10 other things like you want to add, but if you've got like a couple things that might have been overlooked, please bring those up. I mean, that's the reason why we have a lot of this here, a lot of different experiences here, is to get everybody's ideas about these things. Is that if there's a couple more things that we're not seeing, we'd like to have those added up here.
Like, if we set a deadline, I mean, because I may think of a couple.
Right.
If we can get to Casey before
Next Wednesday.
then everybody will get it. And if
Does that work for you?
If you can get me suggestions or your rankings?
suggestions. that-
Suggestions if we're going to add to it.
Additional.
We should put rankings into it by Wednesday, though, so you've got time.
Well, I think you're gonna start getting tight on time.
Yeah.
I would say if you can get me suggestions by end of day Monday, because then I can send out the list to you on Tuesday.
Okay.
Give you a couple days to get it back to me, because I want to make sure I get it back to you in time for your meeting, so that you can think on it.
Then on the next meeting, if there's something that didn't make it or something that you have a real heartfelt for it, we'll give you time to get up and make a plea for it.
I have a question. Is anybody in here an artist?
I'm a graphic artist, but not freehand.
I mean, in what way?
Okay, well, and I mean, I know you're the architect.
Well, so is he.
And
He's
yeah,
got more
and as I'm
experience
saying
than I.
is that, you know, you guys are great, but it's, if we come, when we get to the point, I was just wondering, if somebody was an artist, because I can't draw worth diddly.
When we get to the point,
Yeah.
I do a lot of 3D modeling.
That would be,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be helpful, because if we could have it in 3D onto the place, we would know if it would fit or not, or.
Yeah, I mean, me and Jason can sit over here.
Excellent.
Are we just to bring this list to the next meeting?
If you want to eat that,
Or you want it back?
So, I'm sorry, do I?
The prioritized list.
So what will happen, just let me clarify this real quick. What will happen is by Monday, you need to let me know if you want to, well, let me back up. I'm going to clean this up, send it out to you. By Monday, you need to let me know if there's anything missing off of that. And if I hear from anyone, then I'll email everyone again and say, add this to your list. And then, how long do you guys need to rate? You'll get them, I'll send it to you on Tuesday. How long do you need to rate it and get it back to me?
Okay, or 2, yeah.
Okay,
Have
so
it back to you by like.
end of day Thursday. If I get it to you timely enough on Tuesday, and then I'll have time. Hopefully, I'll make time. I'll make time to go through and tabulate all of these things as you send them in, and then I will send you back the the ranked list based upon how many points each
Yeah.
item receives.
All right. Well, that is our 8 o'clock buzzer. So does anybody have anything else? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Ayes? All right.
Aye.
All right. And nays? Anybody wants to stay? All right. Thank you all for coming. Chair.